Okay, perfect. So, FMS, right? Functional movement screening. So what we're looking at is patterns in your movement. So we have a lot of green here, which is really good. So there's no areas in the FMS of like all the movements that we did and the breakdowns that we did that you indicated any pain or lack of flexibility. So there's no red, right? Yes, no red. We just have some yellow here when we look at the inline lunge and ankle clearing. So this, most people are like, oh, it has to do with mobility and flexibility. That's not the case. So it actually has everything to do with ankle strength.
Oh.
Yes.
And not hip?
No, ankle strength.
Oh.
So when we move down, you like still passed. We see that on your left side, you have more 2s. And on the right side, you have more 3s.
What does that mean?
So passing on a scale of 1, 2, and 3. 3 is like clear.
Oh, I see.
Like total movement. There's no pain.
So I'm in the middle of that spectrum there. Okay.
Well, what we see is that you passed on the right side, but not on the left side. Okay, so this is why the FMS is so important.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Y'all know at home that I have a labrum tear in my right hip. And that was from a martial art injury that started my entire trajectory from Western allopathic medicine into holistic healing and natural pain relief. And it was in treating that injury that I learned I had congenital hip dysplasia. So I'm always hyper aware of my need to keep hamstring strength and such, but I did not think about the ankle. Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't. Most people really don't look at grip strength with our wrists or our heel strength. But obviously, as training Letitia Hardy's dancers, like this is stuff that comes up all the time.
Right, for dancers. Ankle strength is
exactly.
Superior priority.
Yes.
Because we dancing in 2 and 3 inch heels, y'all, okay?
Yeah, so it's super, super important. Okay, so technically that gave your overall score a 2, which is in like yellow land instead of red land or green land. Which honestly, if you focus more on your right side, it's probably where compensation is coming from,
right.
And that's usually what we see.
Right, compensation patterns are typically on the opposite side of the body from where the vulnerability might be.
Yes, or then if like we have a right side injury and then we focus on the right side and we train the right side isolated movements, but we're not doing that on the left side, then our right side becomes stronger than the left.
Hyperdeveloped.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this happens in yoga asana, guys, all the time. I see, we have our postures that we favor and like, and then we have postures that we, not so much. But if you aren't practicing that awareness and mindfulness with your application of that exercise, of that movement or stretch, you can just worsen your imbalance. So making sure that you have that awareness to pull back on training in some areas and fire it up in others, right?
And I love your verbiage because the idea around ankle clearing, okay, that has to do with balance and stability. So when we see ankle stability, ankle clearing, the inline lunge popping up, it usually has to do with how we recycle energy and then our stability in recycling energy.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And so when we look at like sprints, if you're just jumping off a box and then you need to run really quickly, if you are not training your ankles, that jump is more likely to lead to a sprain, right?
Right.
Because then you have to shift in a direction, shift quickly in a movement,
and this is why it's so important in some of the fascia work that I do and the fascia training that I do and my body work with clients, is when you are bringing in different types of movement patterns, exercises where there's some kind of rebounding, where you're absorbing a force of energy and springing it back in a smooth fashion, not like a jerky jolt. But that's what allows fascia to organize itself in the best manner of support. And so when you don't have these kinds of unique movements in your exercise routine or your hobbies or however you move about throughout the day, then the fascia is going to organize itself in a manner that will be supportive for how you're using your body. So if you're not using your body with these rebounding, components then when you are in these scenarios where maybe you're jumping down from a ledge, or you're jumping, over the baby gate to save your child from going into the pool, right? Like, these are real life examples, and this is when people sprains, strains, and injury.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's totally normal as we age, our bodies age. We're not as flexible, mobile as we used to be, right? And we continue to train in the gym and we get stronger. However, like, our bodies still age just like we do. And so learning that, like, oh, grip mobility, ankle mobility, that's so natural and normal from 18 and under. Those injuries are not super prone in that age area. And then we just train weightlifting, not realizing that our ankles still need support as we age. Our grip strength, farmer's carry, right? We need to practice these things as we age without even thinking like, oh, I'm getting stronger, everything's fine. No. We got to take care of our joints. We got to take care of, especially the ankles. Oh my gosh, the ankles. Ankles pop up on every screening that I've ever done. They're always something outside of hips.
Is that because we just don't move culturally much anymore? We're not on our feet as much?
Possibly, and I also think it has to do with types of exercises that we do, right? Because usually runners are a part of like running groups, and everyone's like, oh, they're runners, right? Like, it's a very significant type of exercise. Weightlifters, they're going to be in their own little group. Do runners like to weightlift? Probably not.
Right.
Do weightlifters like to run? Probably not.
Right. It's that kind of variability in your training and movement, guys, that leads to healthy, resilient fascia. Think of it like a sponge in the body, and it's soaking up, it contracts, and it squeezes out waste, and then it relaxes. And hydration is beyond how much water you have in your stomach when we talk about the tissues. And that's probably why there aren't as many injuries in the under 18 category, because in Ayurvedic medicine, this is part of the kapha stage of life, right? So the earth and water elements are strongest, which means that the tissues like the ligaments and the menisci and the tendons, they have a lot more water in them, quite frankly, than when, as Ashley was saying, we age and our tissues just naturally dry out. It's part of the aging process. Now, Ayurveda, being the system of self-healing and the art of skillful aging, is how do we slow down these natural degenerative processes through our habits, diets, and movements.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so important to understand it as a whole, right? And our body works as a whole, whether it's what we eat, how we exercise, how we move, right? Because if you're just carrying groceries in from the store, you're still using trunk stability, your ankle clearing, right? You don't have to be in a gym to understand the importance of how this moves in and out of the gym, right? Our body stability in general. So for your ankle clearing,
Ooh, my ankle clearing, let's find out, folks.